Good evening, all, and welcome to this evening's episode of Chill Critical. I'm your host, Zayden1, and today on the program we have a comparison, the brand new Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, and comparing it to the Sony Dualsense controller. Taking a look at these, as there was someone that requested it in the comments section, and it seemed like an interesting idea. I mentioned before how this controller had been my new primary driver for quite a while now when I could choose it, and was just kind of a thought experiment of how do I feel it compared to this one, especially because these are both very expensive controllers. I did happen to get this one a bit cheaper though on sale. And the way I decided to at least start to explore this topic, as I think we may need to continue some research into this, was to play Monster Hunter Rise with both of these controllers. Now, Monster Hunter Rise is a game that I own on both Nintendo Switch and on Steam, so it seemed like one of the best games at the time that I could get a good just feel for the controller. Some of the things that I've noticed about the two of these controllers. Now, to start with the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, vague concept to start with, a very light controller. I'm going to go ahead away and give kind of the thesis of both of these quickly, and then we'll discuss it more. Very light controller. It feels like this controller is not there at times. It feels like it just feels like there's less in between me and the game, yet it still is a nice product to hold, but it feels like one that is not really obstructing things, where I feel like this one tends to be a bit meatier and tougher and feels more like an expensive tech product in a certain way, something that was designed to appeal to people on almost all grounds, where I feel like this ultimately sacrifices some of that for approachability and usability a bit. But to go into some of the things that I discovered while I was playing Monster Hunter Rise on both, is that, like I said here, I started with this one. This controller, I feel like I'd like to take a more accurate weight between the two, or I research it and look it up. I may place it on the screen if I can find it, but these controllers feel about the same in the hand. And they feel about the same in the hand. But when I'm actually holding on to them, this one feels significantly, not significantly, the overstatement there maybe, somewhat heavier. But when I think about it, I don't know if that is true or not. But it certainly feels like it, and I think it comes down to, this is a nice, wide controller. As we look at it here, as we're, like we said, talking a little bit about the shape language, Sony certainly likes to add a certain amount of premium to their controllers. Now, how well they've achieved that over the years can probably depend on person to person, but at least for me, I feel like the PlayStation 5 has got a certain amount of futuristic sleekness, certain kind of tech that I associate with the Sony brand at this point due to their obvious efforts, and I feel like this is a good example of that. It's got some sharper edges. It's got some, almost like one would say, like elegance and aesthetic. Like, it's got very nice lines. There's almost a certain amount of gloss to it. There's almost a certain amount of gloss to the product. Like, the buttons are almost like jewels. Like, they have a translucent look to them. And they're very, like, jewel-like right on this here. And between that and the large, like, kind of wide arc that we have here, that kind of creates sleekness, this has a very nice shape language there. It's almost like a Batarang. It's very Batmobile-like to me. And I say Batarang specifically because there's a controller that I had, a Batman Arkham, I believe, themed controller. And that's what this controller reminds me of most. That was my favorite controller for a very long time. It was my main driver, I guess you could say, on PC in the early days when I was experimenting with controllers and when I have a bunch of controllers, different types, because I've always dabbled in game design and whatnot. So it's like having different controllers, like it's different experiences, and you have a lot of Steam games, and it was a time that I was experimenting with trying to find good ones, like good things that were like equivalent on PC, and I felt like that worked very well for me. The 360, even though I had the PC adapter, I tended to have issues with. But I think that one was an Xbox one, and you'll see it has a similar shape and language. It kind of has those arcs. It's almost like a batarang. It feels like a utility. This feels the touch. The touch feels nice and smooth. Feels nice and smooth, but just enough pushing back against you to make it feel substantial. To make it feel like a substantial, neat little thing. And it's interesting that it clicks right in. It's very easy. I often find I actually do really like this feature when I do end up using it. Mostly just to click on it. It's just a nice big button. And for some reason, that's just very, very pleasant. For some reason, I find myself liking it a lot. Of course, I like the glow ring around this part. I do think that that's aesthetically pleasing. Once again, I think that leans more into, once again, this feeling like a piece of tech. It feels like something you'd see on on someone's computer or something like that. Like, this has got the little light glow, and it's very prominent, and they can use it in a lot of interesting ways. Now, as far as features are concerned on this one, and this is more of just a breakdown. I'm not an expert on these. I'm kind of talking about the things that I've noticed, either that or learned. So we got a basic USB-C port on the back. We do also have the trigger buttons, the L1, R1, and L2, R2. And in this case, these triggers are nice and clicky. Like when you click those in, they're very... It's a very nice snap. They feel very mechanical in nature and very tactical. Like for any of you that kind of like to mess around with like fancy keyboards and whatnot, like you'll notice that, sometimes you just like the feel of like a button click. And this almost feels like that to me in my limited knowledge of the very cheap and very what I could get keyboards that feel like they have some kind of mechanical quality to them. And then we have the triggers, something I've spoken on the other video of being a big fan of. I think they have just the right amount of pull in that trigger. We'll get more into it once I do my piece on the GameCube controller. But the fact that this has such a low amount of travel distance, once again, I'm not quite going to like break out centimeters or anything, like break out and like measure the exact angle. I'm sure that could be figured out, but at least to feel it feels like you don't travel as much. It feels natural. It glides very smoothly. And then when you actually are getting the adaptive feedback, I feel like it does add a significant amount to any game, especially if it actually if I can actually pull a trigger or something like that. Like anytime that it happens in a game, I enjoy it. There's rarely been a time that it's happened that I haven't enjoyed. I've particularly enjoyed Ratchet and Clank, which is surprising because it is, it's the Steam version, but it seems like they fully just adapted the controller to work almost like it was on the PlayStation 5, and you get full use of the adaptive features on the Steam version as well if you plug this controller in. And this controller works, from what I recall, works pretty much right away with with Steam. I don't recall having any issues with that, at least not too many. I believe they already have drivers for it. And I haven't found too many games that it causes issue with, but that may just be the games I'm playing in particular. And it could be just the frequency with which I am playing games and the variety of games that I play. Just may not be as high as someone else. So maybe someone has discovered more of these things. I haven't researched it, I'm just saying my thoughts. I'm like, I could go look it up right now, but I find that this is a very nice feeling controller that is very compatible. It's just very compatible with Steam. I've yet to try as many games, for example, that you get through like a GOG, or I definitely know it does not work with a Game Pass, at least not that I've been able to get to work. I also haven't been able to get it to really work with this Sony application when I tried using that one as well, but I just couldn't get that thing to do anything for me regardless. But so on PC at least, once again, some of you may have PlayStation 5s. I don't have a PlayStation 5. I still liked the controller. So at least my experience with it on PC has been fairly positive so far. And now that we're getting into that, you know my thoughts on this controller so far. I can say after extended use a little bit, this controller is still very nice to use. I feel like when you feel the almost seamlessness of how that joystick moves, I feel like that is kind of the aesthetic and idea that this was built around. And I feel like it follows Nintendo's current philosophy, obviously within their particular way that they want you to be seamless, but still, that's what this kind of feels like. Like, this doesn't feel as substantial or heavy as the DualSense. At least to me, like I said, we will know later on what the actual difference is in weight, but now this feels heavier and heftier and wider and sturdier that I can really grip into it. And this just almost feels like nothing at all. Like there's nothing there. But the little bit of something that is there is very nice, and it's a weird way to explain that feeling, but it feels very much like you're almost holding a light amount of gloss of nothingness at times. And I don't know how they've balanced it to make it feel that way, but I don't feel any particular bit of heft from any particular part of the controller too much to me. Like, it feels very well balanced in that way. The analog sticks offer very little to no resistance when going around like this. They're a little bit taller. And like I said, the buttons are nice and pressing just enough. No clicks like here, and I like the clicks. I like the clickiness of it. But I have to admit there's something about this that's just so seamless. I barely notice it. Same thing here. I've got to say it. The triggers, as much as I miss them going in more, it does feel nicer. I have been having some issues one night, and I thought that maybe it was the controller I was using, because I noticed I was using the GameCube controller and having a lot of issues right in this region here. And then when I was playing Monster Hunter Rise, I started to realize, even for gameplay reasons, I'm like, there's something very nice about the low travel distance here. It's not that much of a difference, I would probably honestly say, like, especially if you're, but I feel like maybe if you're really better than I am, but casually and easily, this is much easier to get down than this one is, even though this one has so much more options. I'd say the same thing for these. These feel tactical, like the fact that my thumbs fit into these little divots feel neat. It's a neat part of the controller. And I will say that up until this point, these analog sticks to me were the premium. They were like these are feeling pretty good. Like, these are some good feeling sticks. Like, they're still just video game sticks, but I'm like, I like this. It's one of the things I would notice when I would play. Like, when I'd be playing Diablo 4 or something like that, I'm like, I like the way these feels. I also have always liked this particular style after it evolved a bit. I didn't love the placement of the Sony joysticks early on, I'll admit. Especially PlayStation 2, it felt very awkward to me. I never particularly loved that controller. But PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 have definitely been more my cup of tea with that. And of course, on the Switch 2, we have it up here, but it's night and day. Once again, it's night and day. It feels like a very nice joystick for a controller that most people would have used, unless you are a particular controller enthusiast. Like I've said previously, I can't claim to have any expert knowledge in that area. I do not own many of those kind of controllers, but for the controllers that I've interacted with, this felt pretty good up until I used this one. And I almost can't unfeel it. Like if I'm not doing them next to each other, then yeah, this still honestly does feel pretty good. Like even now, like once again, it feels pretty good. I picked this up and I'm like, wow, this is really nice. Like these joysticks feel nice. Like they don't get in the way too much. Just the right amount of snappy. But then I pick up this, and once again, it's like, oh, it feels like I'm picking up nothing. But but what I am feeling is feeling nice and almost, it's like sleek, and even the buttons back here just kind of blend in the controller, and then you move these around, and you're like, oh wow, this thing's not pushing back. This feels like my thoughts translated into the game. Feels like my thoughts translated into the game, and it's still aesthetically pleasing. I still like looking at it compared to the Switch controller. Like with all the colored buttons, as we mentioned in that video, like I've continued to still enjoy this one here after after some weeks of using it. Yes, I can say I still love this. I still stand by most of those things I said there. Like this controller, once again, not worth the price I guess I'd say. Once again, I'm saying a lot of very nice things about this controller, but just in a certain amount of principle, this controller just feels expensive. But at a certain point, you do just have to spend money to get these things at times. But I don't know if I'd want to stake anything on arguing that this would be worth it, because I don't experience enough other controllers. Like out of the ones I've used, yes, I like this one, but like I'm not running out to get another one, not because I don't want to, but because then I look at that price tag and I'm like, oh my, no, that too, that's going to have to wait a bit. And that's probably the only thing holding this back right now, because it's so early on in the console's lifespan. Like that, we're probably not going to be, maybe around the holidays we'll start seeing some bundles or something to that effect. But for the time being, this is a pretty expensive product. If you're watching it after the price has changed or it's on a discount, I can say that outside of that, as of now, I have found no other issues with this controller. Like, there are the caveats I've mentioned, but those are things that can't be changed. Like, where do you like your thumbs to be? Like, I guess I can speak on HD Rumble. HD Rumble feels pretty good to me. It feels pretty good to me. It's to the point where if I don't have it, once again, much like the adaptive triggers, I feel like I'm missing out on something. And also, regarding gyro, because I do play certain games with gyro, specifically, the main one I tend to do it right now with is obviously Splatoon on Switch, but also Monster Hunter in general. Yes, I tend to play when they have gyro controls on, and I'm playing either the bow or one of the guns, or actually right now, even in Wilds, just because of the focus mode, just having it on all the time to motion around. And I can say that I've found that they seem to be semi-equal experiences. I can't speak on that as much. That's something else I'm going to test directly at some point. But this one feels good, and this one feels good. If I had my preference, I'd probably say this. I do like how wide this feels, though. And at first I thought it was going to feel awkward, but on the few times that I've used it so far, because I haven't been playing bow as much, like I said, I haven't been testing like the real like aim that I typically do. I've been mostly moving the camera around and stuff like that, and whipping the camera around real quick, like on a sword and shield, mostly right now, and occasionally doing some gun lance. My ultimate feel on this right now, because now it's like, which one is my main driver now? Right now, for me, it depends. I do not have too many games that I really would, these two controllers would be competing on. I'd say that right now, I'm not yet motivated enough to try to hook this one up to the PC, because I'm fine with playing it with the games that I can play it with. And I don't want to stop using this controller right now. So I can at least say that I want to continue to use both controllers. And because they're both useful in different things, I don't need to necessarily choose one over the other all the time. Now, as far as which one I'm going to be more in the mood for currently, it is going to be the Switch 2 Pro Controller. This is the one that holding this makes me want to play something right now. Holding this makes me say, I want to get into some Mario Kart World. Like, let me at like Street Fighter 6. I would say Cyberpunk, but I don't play Cyberpunk with this controller. I play entirely with the motion controls. Very much wanting to do a video on that experience. But yes, I've been playing that game entirely with the full-on motion control, so I've been using the Joy-Cons. So not for that game, but for other games, like mostly those two. Been doing some, because if I'm doing GameCube games, I do go back to the GameCube controller. Doing some fast fusion. Definitely, playing this with fast fusion is it's just very good experience. That game is wonderful. That game is so good and so pleasing that my spouse is just Jade Wings is just, she'll just watch me play the game, and this controller feels so wonderful with it. We've also been placing some Horizon Chase Turbo, one of our old favorites from the Switch. Very nice to feel, very much like we both wanted to be using this controller because this was the good feeling controller to use on it. So this has been very lovely. I love being able to play a game and reach out and get this, and that's lately what's been getting me. Monster Hunter Wilds has released a new update. I don't know yet how to say Lagiacrus, because I haven't loaded in yet. I know people are saying, apparently some of us are saying it wrong, and they may be straightening it up, but I'm very excited to get back to that game, and it's very much because, part of it is because the thought of like, oh yeah, getting back into some Monster Hunter Wilds with this controller here feels good. And while I could try to hook this up, I'm not motivated enough because I still want an excuse to use this one from time to time because it has different uses. This guy's almost like a sports car. It feels like an expensive piece of tech product. It feels hefty and it feels substantial. I think that's because it's supposed to be. It's supposed to stand out. It's supposed to feel edgy. It's supposed to make you feel like you're piloting a premium product. This one is made for usability. This is meant to feel premium like everything from the Switch 2, but a mix of premium and usability, at least in design, at least in physical design. Surely wish there was some more cool stuff on like the Switch home screen or something, but that's fine. For you just don't have what you don't have. But at least as far as the controller that we have is a very good one, and it is currently what I've been reaching out with. But as far as what to going forward with these two controllers, they are going to continue to be tested. As I've stated, I want to do a test on a gyro run in Monster Hunter with both of these, and I may extend a little bit of that idea. But that's where we're standing with these right now. They'll get tested out some more, and we'll have more for the GameCube one as well in the future. So let us know what you think. Do you have access to both these controllers? Which ones do you like using and for what games? Like, do you have multiple controllers and you use one as a main driver or not? Do you just have the one? Go ahead and let us know down in the comment section. Thank you for joining us this evening. If you'd like more content like this, please remember to like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon if you want to be notified as soon as we upload. And until next time, everyone, I'm encouraging you to engage brightly. Thank you and have a good night.